Hello and welcome to the Pulse of Jonesboro. I am Jeremy Terrell, and let's get into today's topics. Today we're going to talk a little bit about, again, the direction of Jonesboro. And I'm going to get off of this at some point in time, I promise, and get a little bit more specific about certain things. But it's just really hard when we keep seeing things happen, and it just makes you scratch your head. One of those things is that we had a red ribbon cutting for reopening the road, Main Street, and I get the celebration for sure. It really hurt a lot of people with that being shut down. I know some businesses really suffered, but to have a ribbon cutting and to take the time and effort and the resources in order to do that, again, it's not the best for our resources. And we spent a ton of money as a city on that corner, tearing a building down that we don't even own. Who knows what the direction's going to be, where we're going. But I remember back earlier this year that there was a post talking about how they were going to let the courts handle it in June. And I know that myself and a few others made a big stink about it, saying, my gosh, if you do that, it won't be open till September, October, November. And the next thing I know is they're tearing it down, and which I believe for those companies that are based in downtown, it was a good thing. Now, I don't know what happens forward, but we as the city should be doing something proactively to make sure that we're going to get the property or whatever it may be. But here's another thing that's starting to frustrate me a little bit is that we focus so much on downtown, and we are literally missing a huge portion of Jonesboro on a regular basis. And at some point in time, that's going to have to change. We literally need to divide the city up into 5 different sections, and it needs to be northeast, southwest, and central. And each location needs to have the same amount of time spent on it. That's how we improve our entire city. And instead, we really just focus on this downtown effort. And there's some reasoning behind that. And if you talk to some of the business people, those cities that have a vitalized downtown have a pretty good economic system within the city. It's not always the case, but usually when your downtown's thriving, the city comes around that. And the thing is about Jonesboro is we have always been an outsider to just about everything that happens within Jonesboro. I mean, within the nation, even in the state. We are an isolated island by ourselves, and we don't really have the same effects that the majority of the cities across Arkansas do, and definitely the majority of the cities across the United States. We are in a perfect storm, so to say, with all the different things that we can provide for business and agriculture and all the things that we have. That's such a great benefit to helping us be in a bubble and avoid certain things that normally other cities have been affected by. And I say all that to just say, but we also got to know who we are. We had some of you that are on social media may have seen this, but there's this thing going around talking about maybe a walking downtown, whether it was completely bricked and be a walking space or a little canal or whatever going through the middle of it, but making a kind of a walking place. And the truth is that you guys are just, those that are thinking about this are thinking about it from their point of view. And you got to start thinking about it from the people of Jonesboro's point of view. And when I say the people of Jonesboro, that's everybody. You can't leave the vast majority of people out. And the vast majority of people are not walking people. Now, that's not to say that people aren't fit or whatever, and that's up to a total different debate. But the truth of the matter is, if people have to walk, Jonesboro just went through this with the Main Street being shut down. They don't even want to be inconvenienced in driving, let alone walking to get to where they want to go. Businesses suffered downtown because it was an inconvenience for them. And we are a town where we want to drive our cars and park as close as we can and get out and go do the things that we want to do. And I said this on a few episodes ago that we are a car-dependent town. And if you the people in charge are trying to make us not a car dependent town, then you need to say so. You need to start being transparent about that so that we can tell you that we don't want to be a non car dependent area. We like our cars. And so, anyways, a walking facility downtown to make 4 or 5 blocks, that, yeah, it would look wonderful, it'd be great. But the problem again with that is that people don't want to be inconvenienced. They want to be able to park within the same block of wherever they're going to eat. They don't want to, they just don't want to be inconvenienced. And that's the world we live in, period, these days. And we're not, again, we're not this fit community or this outdoorsy, bikey community. We're a business community. We're a blue collar community. We just like what we like, and that's who we are. And again, at some point in time, those that are elected have to start looking at who we are. And I've done a couple of episodes where we pretty much laid out who we are, and they don't, maybe they're listening, maybe they're not, but eventually they will be, I promise you. And they'll get to understand, or they won't. And hopefully if they don't understand, we'll get new people in there that do understand. And so at some point in time, we need to be moving in the direction that's best for the people that live here, which also goes to, I don't know what the city council is doing. I really dove into a little bit of what they are responsible for, and they are responsible for oversight. And that's one of their biggest things. And they're also, it's kind of like the school boards when I did the school boards episode. They have a lot of oversight, and they also have a lot of being able to drive the process. And they're not driving the process. Really, the process is being brought to them, and they're voting. And that's not good. They're not diving into the right numbers, and they're not asking the right questions. And when I say they, again, don't everybody listen to, oh, he doesn't like anybody. It has nothing to do with I like a lot of them. And some of them do a pretty good job. Some of them do ask questions, and they try to get an understanding of the direction we're going. But those same people, I really want you also to start driving the process. I really want you to start bringing things to the city and say, listen, this is the direction we're going. You guys have heard me talk about the police department and what we got to do in order to move it in the right direction. We've got to do better for those that are patrolling our streets each and every day. We got to give them the support, the love, the understanding, and then the training and the guidance that is needed. And the truth is that if you look at what the city council is supposed to do, that's one of the things that they're responsible for, and that is the oversight and the direction at which they want the police department to go. And then obviously the mayor gets the police chief, and then the police chief is supposed to run the police department, but the city council is also supposed to be the director of kind of the direction in which they want their city, their safety, all that kind of stuff. That is to be funneled through the city council. And so city council, you guys can do better at making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing for our police department. So I'm putting that pressure on you guys. So get with it, get after it, and do something about it. The other thing is, man, I'm jumping all over the place, and I apologize, but tons of information. And we've got to put a moratorium on restaurants. We're opening like 3 or 4 more restaurants coming into town. And the problem is, and I know this because I've done my own research, and I've talked to a lot of different people in the food industry and the delivery industry and the supply industry and so forth and so on. And a lot of our restaurants are suffering. They're just barely making it. And that's not a good thing. And when we continue to just open up more restaurants and spread that out even more, it's more opportunity for our businesses to fail, especially those ones that are locally owned. And we have to have an understanding of that. As city councilmen, you should know who's every time you do something, who it affects. Every time you vote for something or against something, who does that affect? And every time you allow a new restaurant to come in, you are effectively hurting another restaurant. And you can say, if they just did a better job or blah, 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 blah. And the truth is, the margins are pretty small in food, and some are bigger than others. But if you take a city that we are an eating out town for sure, and then you saturate it with all kinds of places to eat, at some point in time, that's going to hurt the businesses. It just is. And we can support at 90,000 population or 80,000 population town, we can support only a certain amount of restaurants. And if we exceed that amount, that's not good for the owners. And I jumped down the Chambers case the other day, and I had a couple of meetings this week that just reiterated what I said is to be true. They should be really out there promoting the local owned businesses, especially our restaurants and stuff, and saying, listen, these are the ones that we recommend and prefer, because that's keeping money within our town. And I know that there's this big push, and it's been going on for a long time, buy local. But the problem is we don't know who's local. We know a couple, we know a handful, but we don't know all of who's local. And we know Gearhead's local. We know a couple of the furniture stores, and I apologize, I'm drawing a blank here, but we know that they're local. We know that the 501's local. We know that the Munchies is local. But the problem is we don't know that Guthrie's is local. We don't know that the new Baskin and Robbins is local. We don't know that even the Chick-fil-A is local. And when local is that they're owned by a person here in Jonesboro, and they own that particular franchise. Lost Pizza is one of those, and so forth. And these are people that live here, and they make their livelihood based upon that. And we should know who they are, and we should help those, and that's where we should go. There's a lot of chicken places in town. Let's choose the chicken places that are locally owned. There's a lot of pizza places. Let's choose the pizza places that are locally owned, and so forth and so on. And that's buy here locally. That's supporting our local. The majority of everything downtown is locally owned, and we need to continue to do that and move in a direction that is supporting our own people. Same with shopping and things like that. We need to really gather around these businesses, but we got to know who they are. We have to know who's out there and who's been here a long time and who's locally owned and what they do for our community. I know some of these businesses do an unbelievable amount for our community, and we need to support those people. But we got to know who they are. All this promotion with downtown's great. As a city, if you're going to promote, you need to promote everybody. We can't be using all the taxpayers' money to just be promoting downtown. You know, who paid for the reopening of Main Street? You know, what's funny is we opened it and then we shut it down to have an opening. I don't know if that's bad timing or whatever it is, but I don't know. Anyways, we can scratch our heads on that one. But we got a lot of businesses that are uptown. So we got downtown, then we got uptown, which is Caraway, Highland, Stadium, Red Wolf. And they open and close businesses all the time too. And I'm going to do my best to find out, and I'll start promoting the locally owned businesses. I know Lazari's is another one, Demos and so forth. And we'll do a better job at that and really move towards making sure that we really support all of our locally owned businesses. But our town's got to do better. Our chamber's got to do better at doing this. And the city councilmen got to do their jobs. I got some news about some of our schools that I'm really not happy about. Some of the districts, I believe, are making some moves that, again, that are just head scratchers. They're just head scratchers. And at some point in time, the kids have got to be first. The whole thing is teaching kids, and that should be priority number one. Not your friends, not acquaintances, not businesses, but literally teaching kids. And that should be number one. I want to get off track a little bit, and I want to talk about a meeting that kind of made some social media headway this last couple weeks, and that is Dan Sullivan had a meeting, the town hall at the library. And I think he was trying to follow in the footsteps of Coleman and McLean, who did a town hall-ish type thing at Allen Park for their zone. And from what I hear, it was an incredible success, and questions were answered, and the chief was there, and some other people were there. And anyways, it turned out to be a really good and really informational event. And I think that there needs to be way more of those. And again, I encourage the city council, people that haven't done that, to get out into their areas and do that. I think it should be mandatory, to be honest. Learn from them. I think Dan tried to do something similar, but it didn't go really good. And number one, he picked the library. He's pushed a lot of things within public libraries, and the public libraries probably don't like him that much. Now, right or wrong or indifferent, the direction that he's going on the public libraries versus the direction that the libraries are going, that was irrelevant, other than he should have known his audience. And him and I've had this conversation before, is know your audience, know where you're at. Anyways, it didn't go really good. A lot of tough questions. I think one guy was there to just have gotcha questions and be a disruptive human being. But the rest of them are there they had their opinion, and they wanted questions answered based upon their opinion. So there's a lot of this, a lot of back and forth, and didn't go really good. The reason being is because we don't have a lot of bridge builders around here. It doesn't matter where you're left or right. We just don't have anybody building bridges right now in our city. And I'm out here, and I don't guess in some cases I say I tried to build bridges, but when you're just telling the truth, a lot of times people don't take that constructively, and they get mad at you and push back. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a bridge and a lot of different things. I've got some meetings coming up the end of this week and then the next week, and it's really to build bridges and try to have these discussions that we need to be having in our city. And I know that people are pushing back, and actually I know people are out there saying don't meet with Jeremy. And that's fine. We're still going to push and go out and have conversations with people. And we're really going to try to build bridges. One of those bridges that we're going to try to build is between the city, me personally, is going to build. It's between the city and the understanding of how important the direction of our jail is. The county did a miserable job trying to figure out how to present this to the citizens on trying to get a new jail. I think that you guys have heard me say this, Marty, who is unbelievable human being and really wants what's best for the county, shouldn't be a guy out there trying to push whether or not we get a new jail. He does his job well, and that's in the county. He's keeping the county safe, and there's a lot of things that they do that shouldn't be taking up his time by trying to promote a new jail. And I think that maybe they did that strategically. He's a likable guy and wanted to get the guy that was likable out there in front of people. But the truth is that this is a county thing. The county judge and the people involved there that work there, this is their duty. And they should have been out there doing a much better job. And people like the Tea Party and other different parties probably would have jumped on it. They put a number on it, and it was a maybe number. And they put a big number between this number, I don't remember what it was, but $100,000 and $150,000, let's say. Don't quote me on those numbers, but let's just say it was 100 to 150, $100 million and $150 million. $50 million difference. That's huge. But there was like, we have to do this and this to figure it out, to try to understand it. When you say that to a citizen, the citizens scratch their heads and go, 50 million? You can't get closer than 50 million? And what does that exactly go for? And what does it look like? And what are the benefits? And why do we need it so much? And the problem is that literally, they don't want to say this. We're out of spots. We can't put any more criminals in spots. Our judges' hands are tied because they cannot put people in jail. So if you're a criminal, you get away with a lot of stuff. You get second, third, fourth, fifth chances that you normally wouldn't get because we could put you in jail and hold you, and then hopefully that gets you to say, hey, I don't want to be in a jail. And then next time you get out, you do everything you can to stay out of jail. That's not what happens. They don't tell the truth. And I somewhat understand why they don't tell the truth. It's kind of our local schools, and I'm going on tangents here again, but it's kind of like our local schools. There may be a marijuana bust, and in that marijuana bust that's out of school, they don't want anybody to bring it up because they're like, oh, we don't want any bad publicity in our school. And so they don't bring it up, and the kid gets a little bit in trouble, but a spanking on the hand. They don't let the SROs do what they're supposed to, blah, 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 blah. And then the next thing you know is we've got problems with that because we've been really laxed in doing what we're supposed to be doing within our schools. And that's across the board in schools. It's not I'm not pointing fingers in any school. Some do better than others, but the majority of them, it's like that. But that's what we're doing in the city and in the counties. We're allowing this to get worse. We continue to allow this to get worse because they don't just want to tell us the truth. Say it. We have a problem. We got to fix the problem. We got to be able to give our judges the ability to do their job in a major, effective way so that we can be safer as a community. You heard in this last election how safe we are. That's bogus. We're not safer. When you quit counting things, obviously it looks safer. Now, did we have less homicides? I can tell you we're on a trajectory right now that we're going to have more. And that's what happens is we lessened the small illegal things happening in our town. We've ignored them, thinking that if we just ignore them, the little things, maybe the bigger things won't get bigger, and that's not how that works. And so we ignored them, and now they're coming back to bite us, and it's getting worse and worse. We have our move-ins because people know that they can come here and do things that they can get away with, and there's nothing we can do about it. And if I'm the only one that's going to talk about the truth, then so be it. But it is the truth. So we need our elected officials to do their job. Make sure that people understand the importance of why we need a new jail. And those that are against the jail, I completely get it. These are incredible friends of mine. But the truth of the matter is this. We cannot punish anybody else. If we do, we have to then call up at the jail and we got to say who's been acting the best. And they could be in there for major drug charges they could be in there for 5th DWI, or they could be in there for domestic abuse, or lots of different reasons why they could be in there. And we have to find out which one's being the best and then take them out because we got this really bad person that's got to go in. And that's the way that currently we're spending our time. That doesn't allow the judges to be effective. That makes their job twice as long because they'll look at their docket and they'll have to go through it and they'll be like, oh my gosh, we've got at least 7 here that probably need to go to jail, but we only have a spot for 1. Okay. But we've really got to send 2. So let me get on the phone and call the jail and find out, can they release another one, another criminal, mind you. So let's find out which criminal is the least criminal, and then we'll replace them with a little bit worse criminal. And that's what's happening. I can continue to talk about the things that we're doing wrong in our town, and I will. I really want to get to some of the good things, and we do have some good things, but man, if we don't start weeding through these negative things, you guys have heard me on my last several episodes, we have issues that are going on with our parks department. We have issues going on with our roads. My gosh, every time something's posted about the city, there's 60, 70, 80 posts talking about how terrible our roads are and can you please just fix them. Quit talking about new roads and fix the old ones. We're putting in overpasses and roads where we don't even need them for really silly reasons, unbelievable silly reasons. And then we've got intersections that need overpasses and overhauls, and we're not even touching those because somebody wants an overpass and a direct route to the airport. These are the things that are going on and are not going on. Our city council, you guys have got to do a better job of doing your own research and exactly what you're supposed to do. Got to fix the police department. And when I say fix the police department, again, I keep having to make sure people understand this. Our men and women that work in the police department are unbelievable. I'm a huge supporter of those that protect us each and every day. I'm a huge supporter of those that put their life on the line each and every day. And that's why I say we need to fix the police department. They need the leadership and the guidance that makes us the best police department in all of Arkansas. So we got to fix that. We have to fix how we spend our money and quit wasting it on roads that go to nowhere, and wasting it on roads that nobody uses, and wasting it on bike paths that nobody uses, wasting it on sidewalks when we could put 2 times the amount of sidewalks in for the same price that we're doing one. And I know it's not exactly like that, but we definitely could put in 1.5 times the sidewalks. I know the labor, if you factor in the labor, it's not a whole lot more to put in a wider one than it is to put in another one, but material, it's huge. We could put in a lot more distances. Every school, you could work out from the school. Make sure one's around every school, and then work out from the schools. Go to Craighead, work our way back into the city. All these things are common sense, and we're not doing any of these things. We're just hodgepodging it. And you guys keep hearing me say we throw it up on the wall, see if it sticks. We don't have any real pushback. The majority of the city council just is a rubber stamp, and our chamber has to do better for our local companies. I know Jonesboro Unlimited does some really good stuff, and they do some stuff, but you got to allow them. You got to allow Jonesboro Unlimited to really branch out and get really innovative on the ways that we can move the needle with the things that we have to be able to come in and tell all these other companies why they need to come to Jonesboro. And if we keep ignoring the truth, we're going to end up in a place that we don't want to be. And I keep saying it over and over again, quit ignoring the truths. We got to fix our schools. The majority of our schools are failing, and they've been failing for a long, long, long time. We have several different new superintendents that better move the needle. They have to move the needle. We got, I would say at best, 50% of our school board members that want to even be there. The majority of them aren't even there. They show up periodically and barely get their hours, don't like to meet more than an hour. It's just the truth. And we don't have people going out to be school board members. We don't have anybody really testing city council. We don't have anybody really pushing JPs. And I get it. It's time and effort. But the truth is that if we don't start doing that, if we don't start holding these people accountable and them know that their time's going to be up here pretty soon because we're going to be putting people in their places, then they'll just keep running and being elected and doing the same things. And it's just crazy that we just watch as we don't move in the right direction, and we keep moving in a direction that we're all going to be looking in 5 to 10 years and scratching our heads, and a good portion of us are going to be saying, hey, we've been screaming this. And I'm going to stop this episode by talking about, I can tell you, we've had a ton of long-term Jonesboro people move, and it's not good. Now, some people have made the claim that nobody's staying or whatever, and that's not the truth. There are a lot staying. We're losing some really impactful people and impactful families, and they're the people that have tried to move the needle in a positive way, and it just doesn't happen. And that's sad, but true. And I don't blame them, but I'm that guy that's, before I jump ship, I'm going to battle and just get people to do what they're supposed to be doing in order to move the needle in the right direction. And then at the end of the day, if people don't want to move it, then we have decisions to make. But Jonesboro's my home. It's a great place to raise a family. Used to be better. It has all the potential in the world. We've been there. We have great companies, Hydro, City Water and Light. The list goes on as far as companies that are here, that have been here for a long time. We've got great entrepreneurs and with Gearhead and some of these other groups that are longtime Jonesboro who have their headquarters here. And it's a great place, but man, if we don't move it in the right direction, we're going to start seeing these places leave, and it's going to be a sad day when that happens. Guys, keep up the fight, and I'll keep up the fight. I'll continue to be here week after week. I do want to say that we're going to create an informational highway, and we'll have a site that you can go to and get real news, and it won't be full of fluff. It'll just be facts, and it'll be an honest take on what's going on. and that's coming. I can't tell you exactly when. That takes a lot of moving parts, but we're getting there. Stay tuned. Guys, share this, like this. If you get on social media, on our Facebook, that's a big way to support us. We are on YouTube, The Pulse of Jonesboro, and just really start sharing this and spreading this information. And we'll move the needle in the right direction, and we'll start holding everybody accountable. We're going to do better about diving into real issues from the meetings of schools and city council and county meetings, and we'll start holding all those people accountable too at a level of within their meetings and stuff. But I've got some great interviews coming up. I know you guys have heard that a couple times, and some of these people I believe are really trying to move the needle for Jonesboro, whether I agree with them or not. And that's the other thing too, is we're going to climb all in with people that want to move the needle in the right direction. Whether we agree or not, if we're moving, and we're moving it at least in a positive direction, those are the ways and the ones that we've got to support and keep pushing and keep pushing. And eventually, we'll the good things that should be going on in Jonesboro will start to take hold, and we'll do wonderful things here. So, guys, have a great week. We will see you next week, and thanks for tuning in.